Yo, what's good? Welcome to Counter Currents. It's your host, Petey Steele.
And your co-host, Elena Torres. And today's guest, this is our first episode in 2022. Shout out.
Oh, shit.
Is it right? It is, right? This is our first episode of 2022. I know we're a little late to the game. This episode probably isn't going to come out till the end of January because it is the end of January. Your girl had COVID. Petey got sick. Wasn't COVID. But we're back. Everybody's fine. And we came back with a guest who, listen, what can I say about this guest? This is someone that we've known for a long time. I've known this guy since I started comedy.
Me too.
He actually was one of the first comics on the first lineup I ever did in DC. And I was cocky when I came to DC. I figured that everybody would be bad at comedy because it's not an entertainment city. And then this guy came on stage and I was like, shit, I got worried. That's a true story that you didn't know, sir. And, most of the shows we produce, I try to put him on all the shows that I produce. I think he's one of the funniest guys in DC. Also, one of the nicest dudes in DC. Please welcome the hilarious Simone.
Yay, thank you. Thanks for having me. And that was so nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's true.
I had no idea.
I remember the first time I met you, Simone. It was at the Blue Banana, and you got off stage, you hollered at my man's lady, and then you bummed one of my fucking chicken wings. I was furious for a second. I was like, I've got to be better than this guy one day.
The funny thing is, both of you, what you've experienced were different sides of me, different points in my life. Petey got me in the single, a little bit more wild times. You met me, I think I was engaged, I think.
Yeah, you were engaged, like had just, or were about to get engaged.
Yeah, it was something. So both of those experiences happened, but both are honest. I mean, that's what happened.
Yeah.
We've I've known Petey for a while too, so I've seen
10 years.
I've known him for like an evolution, and when you came in, I actually think I remember. I think you had a group of girlfriends with you, or did you, Elena? Did you have a group of girls with you during your performance? I felt like you had a cheering section, or maybe you're just
the first
okay
mic in DC I ever did, because I did some mics in New York. I would like go up to New York because I figured there wasn't comedy in DC when I started.
Yeah.
But the first mic in DC that I did was at Wonderland.
Yeah. Okay.
And I did have a bringer spot, and it was mostly my husband's friends because I didn't have any friends in DC. Like a couple months before.
Yeah.
And so I did have a large cheering section. And you were, I think you were like first in that lineup, something like that. And I remember your crowd work was really good. And you did a funny joke about people in the audience looking like they worked at Warby Parker or something like that.
The irony is I'm wearing Warby Parker glasses now.
Are you really?
Yeah. Damn, that's so crazy. Wow. Okay. Well, first, again, Happy New Year for the first podcast of the year, and happy to be here. You guys are awesome. I enjoy both your comedy. I enjoy you as people. So usually those things don't always intersect.
They do not.
So I'm actually, it's pretty fortunate, because I've seen people, I love their comedy, but then I get to meet them and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's actually most people in comedy. Like some of the comics that I think are really funny, I don't want to ever meet because I'm sure they'll disappoint.
Yeah. It's funny, actually, this is, for those who are watching, this is the Arlington Draft House. Arlington.
Yeah, you guys gotta come see us there.
Exactly. So representing, some of my favorite times have been in that green room behind the curtain and getting to talk to the comics. Like, I've opened up for Eliza Schlesinger, Pete Davidson, David Allen Greer, Fortune Feimster in here. And
no way.
Yeah, Michelle Wolf also. So basically, I'm good for other comics to launching their TV careers, or that was actually my selling point for headliners was, these are the people I've opened for. This is how their careers are going. I bring you luck.
Yeah, you're like, good luck, Chuck. Did you ever see that movie? That's terrible, by the way, but.
Is that
I think
what's
it's
his name?
Dane Cook.
Dane Cook, that's it. That's
It's
it.
a terrible movie, but the whole premise of the movie is that, shout out to Dane Cook. Anyway, but the whole premise of the movie is that he sleeps with a woman and then the next guy she meets is her husband.
But I think I've seen that, and the thing is, I think comedically that is how it works for me, comedically speaking, not actually the sexual version. But I did see that, and my God, it's crazy. But because I was talking to somebody about Pete Davidson, because Pete Davidson's out there doing his thing,
Dating Kim Kardashian, doing his thing.
And everyone always asks, like, what's it about him? And you could tell us from your perspective as, the woman, like, what do you think? Pete, I'm sure you have your opinions too, but I can tell you from my experience in that green room, he's actually a nice guy. Maybe I got him right. Maybe I got him at the right time. This is early, right when he was like getting big. I think he was dating Ariana at the time, Ariana Grande. And he was like, I'm just going to stay in. I don't want to go out. Of course, he asked me all the Pete Davidson type questions. Yo, can we smoke here? It's Arlington, not quite DC. Where's the bath? Like that kind of basic stuff. But then, you just kind of talk. That's my favorite thing, talking in the green room, getting to know people.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing. And then, like you said, just figuring out, oh, this person's either cool or not cool or some variation.
Yeah, kind of like, well, that's what this podcast is, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Talking to a lot of those people, and a lot of what you say, the people you've opened for at Draft House, like we've had people on this podcast that have been nominated for Oscars. We've had a Golden Globe winner on here now.
Nice.
We've had all kinds of, we have a lot of people who will never come back to Arlington because they're doing theaters now, a lot.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have repeat guests because they outgrew us, as it were. But I know that feeling. And I will answer the Pete Davidson question, but I want to ask Petey, what do you think of Pete Davidson before I answer? Because I want both of your answers first.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a nice guy. I don't have any beef with him. I don't know his comedy that well or stay attuned to stuff that's that mainstream generally, because I'm kind of a nebbish about shit like that. But for all the people out there that are famous that somehow manage to penetrate my stratosphere of attention, he pisses me off the least.
That's the best compliment you can get. He pisses me off the least.
Yeah.
That's honest. Love it.
That's my opinion.
I get it. I get the Pete Davidson thing. Like he's just one of those guys that like when he talks, it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And that's attractive. And he's tall enough.
Mm-hmm.
Height's important. Like he's tall enough. He has a nice, he seems he's confident in all of his shortcomings and not.
Hashtag heightist.
Yeah, I am a heightist.
You're a heightist. There's like
is that a thing?
There's a what? Well, there's.
Well, watch after this podcast. It'd be a thing.
There's gonna be some.
All the shortists are gonna come after me.
There's gonna be some short. There's gonna be some short kings like, come on, what's up with that? Well, being
a tall girl is tough. It's tough out here.
Yeah.
What's the cutoff for what makes a girl tall? Like 5'9", 5'10", 5'10". I think
it's like me. I'm 5'8", and I've always been considered tall. Also, like I'm extra sensitive about it sometimes because when I was on telenovelas, the like main shit talking that people on Twitter would do about me would be they would call me a giraffe. Girafota, which is like extra large giraffe all the time because on camera I look very tall and compared to, and actors tend to be, male and female tend to be like little.
Sure.
Yeah.
Film's better. So on camera I just look huge. And then they would like put me in heels and I would just look huge and everyone on Twitter would talk shit. Like, who's this giraffe bitch?
I'm surprised they didn't put like books underneath people or like some sort of like surface to like kind of level it out.
I got an actor got really pissed off because they offered him a box and he just said it was my fault because I had high heels on. And then I was standing on a hill, we're doing outdoor, it was a whole drama. We were doing an outdoor scene and I had to change my shoes. It was like a whole thing.
You didn't do like the hunch over thing? Like
I offered to I was like, I could squat. Like,
yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my height. I'm a victim too.
You're a victim too.
Wrong.
That's good save. That's a good save. You're a victim too. I got you.
For all the people out there judging me. So Simone, you have a special out, right?
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this. I have a special streaming as of tomorrow. Well, the 27th on all the platforms: iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, TikTok, YouTube. I just put it out there, just kind of, putting out the DMV comedy experience for everybody outside of our area. And also the perspective of a child of immigrants from this area. So I put it all out there. I talk about selling out on the wire or potentially on the wire. I talk about my favorite.
Where do guns be at?
Exactly. I talk about my favorite DC slang. I talk about gentrification, and then I do some, typical stuff. You guys are familiar enough, but for your audience, like just some icebreakers. I get weird a little bit. And then I throw in some stuff I've never talked about and just put it out there. Just that was my goal to do it last year, but it got pushed back because of editing. So since I was at home physically, not on stage, I just like, man, let's do some editing, get it out there. So
you edited it yourself?
I had a sound person I worked with who worked with other comedians. So if you guys want to work with this person, I highly recommend it. Looking forward to the sound quality, seeing how it goes, because he put out some good stuff for other people. He worked with Danny Rouillet. He worked with some other folks. I'm blanking on the name, but otherwise, highly referred. And man, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Wow.
Excited,
Awesome.
very excited.
When did you shoot it?
Well, actually, various corporate events and club events across the DMV. Put it together and then just organize and edit it. So it was over the course of last year, and really just got the pieces that worked. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get a good representation of what's DC, Maryland, and Virginia, putting it all together and just putting it out.
Oh, that's awesome. So you shot it post-pandemic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it was in the pandemic era. I do say some pandemic stuff. Just because we're living it, you have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a good thing to come back to and say, hey, this is hopefully how we dealt with it, past tense at some point. But right now it's still relevant.
Right. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you go in these areas?
So I had a couple. So I did corporate events like a winery. I did one at a country club. I did one in a comedy club that I can't mention. And a basement show, more or less. So I got different types of shows in different parts of the area or area. So I just wanted to really represent the variety and diversity of like the different types of audiences. And you'll hear the difference for those who pick it up, which I highly recommend. Post January 27th on iTunes or Spotify. Simone Comedy, Delightfully Ethnic. That's something that is going to be relevant once you hear the tracks. So again, I think it'll be fun. It's a fun thing. You can listen in the background. You can work out to it. You can, make passionate love listening to it if you like. How I look like anorexic Dwayne The Rock Johnson. If that's what turns you on, listen to it in the background. Whatever works for you. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good for you, Simone. And you've been doing comedy in DC how long?
At least, well, I don't know. Should we count the pandemic years? I almost feel like.
Well, I say if like I give a number pre and post pandemic, I like say this how many with pandemic, this how many without.
Okay, with pandemic, I guess 11. So
Okay.
so minus the pandemic, 9 maybe, it depends.
Yeah, that's right.
It's about right?
Because I'd be, 8 if I'm minus the pandemic. I haven't gotten to that caveat yet, but I'd be 10 years otherwise. So
So you guys started around the same time.
Yeah, we did actually. That's so the reason why when Petey was saying the blue banana, that's basically saying the same time frame. The RFD in Chinatown, the whole, and also I just come actually I finished graduate school. I just broken up with some girl, so it's like a big thing. A lot of times people start comedy because it was like a dare or some kind of big thing happened to them. Maybe somebody died, or you're like, you know what, life's too short, let's just do it. So for me, it was like a serious relationship didn't work out, which is fine. And I was like, let's just try it. And I did a comedy class. And I was like, you know what, as part of that, you're supposed to like go to like open mics in the city. And I was like, man, this is so fun. Even though I was bombing a lot. I was bombing, except for this place called RFD in Chinatown, where I was like, man, these guys really get me. And it was just, I don't even know what I was saying, but it was working. And that like high carried me through the bombs. And then of course I got better and better over time, but that's just through many, many reps. And with Petey, we were starting around the same time. So it was a raw time for sure.
Yeah, it was a lot more organic back then. And there was one mic a night practically that everybody was fighting. If there were ever 2 on a night, if a new one popped up, holy shit, it was like people had struck gold, and they're running this way and that, trying to get on stage, 3 minutes, please,
Yeah.
And now it's just seems so regimented. Like emails were kind of a rare thing to get on a mic, forget about a bump list, except in Arlington. There wasn't really like a hierarchy other than like Tony Woods coming to your place. Yeah. Otherwise, it was kind of first come, first service.
The bookers here, as you know, they were tough, but they actually, it's like a high school basketball tryouts. You would put your name on the list and they would look and, they would know the known players, like, okay, this is the kind of the people who are good, the newbies. And then they would give a couple new names a shot, but, a lot of times people would get cut and there were people who get really frustrated. Feelings were hurt. Like Pete knows this, and you know this too, that when you were like a host, you would say like, you'd basically come out with the list in your hand and you'd be like one of those old timey, remember like the old timey people who were like, hear ye, hear ye.
Yeah.
Like the town crier.
Exactly. You'd pull out like the scroll, and then
I've been there.
And then you would mispronounce half of the people's names.
Yeah.
And then people would like listen to it. Did they say my name? Someone's always missing that. Did someone say my name? Did someone say my name? And then they were like, nope. Yep. Nobody said your name, honey. I'm sorry. And then it was, some people got it and just moved on to the next thing. Some people stayed around, complained. They were like, I got bumped 3 times. This is, And then you would talk to the bookers and they would say, this is the thing. And that this would be the place to like, really, if you had your stuff together, a solid 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you had a chance to at least do it.
I didn't even go until I was 2 years in. I remember because I learned about what the system was and I just said, they don't know me. I got to make sure it's down pat before I even fuck around. And then one night I was at the Big Hunt when the Big Hunt was in its infancy and I killed and Randolph was following me and he walked by and said, good set. And I was like, okay, he knows who the fuck I am now. I'm going to make an appearance. And then I went up that following weekend and they put me dead last, but I did good. And the next week
Yeah.
I was a little higher and so on and so forth. But
And you
yeah,
worked your way up. Mhm.
there were times like, maybe like 3 weeks at a time where I'd get bumped and I'd be like, what the fuck's going on? I thought I was in, you know what I mean? But then you'd have to like step some stuff up or you'd ask them directly, and you learn how to ask and how to talk to like talent bookers, about what should I do? And they were always told me the answer, and it took me some time to get it. Sometime it wouldn't work, but over time, I can say it made me a better comic, and it's a true meritocracy, frankly. I mean, there really weren't politics with it. Like I saw them, I got to know them all on a personal level, and I saw people who I knew they personally did not like get up because they were good,
That's true.
So,
that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, that whole process was one of the only things in comedy that's felt very fair
Yeah.
to me since I started. Because when I started, the Draft House open mic was still in Arlington. It was still in the front room, and I would go and sign up. Yeah, there you go. And
I can
near
get
where
there.
Simone's background is right now. And I would go and I would sign up, and they would bump me. And I would get on sometimes, and then I would get bumped, and it would like depend, and I was always in the back. And then over time, it was like slowly my spot started to move, and I would get to know Randolph and Andy, who were the bookers. And say, like Petey said, like they would always give me the right advice. It felt fair, they would always give me the right advice. Like Petey said, you learn how to talk to people. You learn kind of what you have to do in comedy in general to keep getting better and better, and then suddenly I would get better spots. Then I started hosting a lot, and I would say like the hosting of that mic really taught me to be a better comic. Like hosting a late night mic, you really learn, like not just how to work with crowds, and like you learn how to introduce 16 people, you learn everybody's name, and you see at that mic you'd get everybody from the headliner from Arlington who was in town, or the headliner from DC Draft House. Right there, you would get, or headliners from other spaces around town, to like people who've been doing comedy for like 3 months.
Yep.
So you really, I think the hosting of that room to me was probably like the biggest learning experience of my comedy career. And then you go from that to hosting and opening for headliners. And I feel like that trajectory has been, to me, has shown me like how much of a better comic I've become, and it's felt fair. Whereas a lot of other places, sometimes even in a good way, you're like, I feel like I got rushed to do the spot that I'm not ready for, or they take too long, things are political. And one thing I'll say for this great place that we do the podcast for is that it's been really fair. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm down. I think it's completely fair. The guests, actually, I'm a fan, and I've listened to the podcast, and they've got me pumped. It always gets me pumped, and it's just a matter of, hey man, I was like looking for the right time, and so appreciate you guys making time for me here today. It's fun.
Anytime, absolutely. So hey, tell us, who called you delightfully ethnic?
Yeah, so it's kind of it's one of the jokes I talk about is I'm trying not to give it away, but still give you a sense of it.
Sure.
So my wife works in art. I'm surprised I'm married to a woman also. And so she works in art, and I go to these fancy art places, legit millionaires and billionaires at some places. So, I'm usually, if not one of the few, I'm like usually one of the only black faces in a white place. And so, you have interesting interactions with that. People are like, oh, so are you Simone the comedian? And then of course from there, I'm like taking mental notes. I'm like, something's happening here. I got to make mental note because this is going to be fun. And between that, like circumstances like that, and then just from a theme perspective, I think it's not necessarily like explicitly said, but I think just having a first generation American experience, you kind of always feel like you're always straddling different worlds. And, hey, I think I'm delightful, I'm ethnic, bam, there you go. So, I mean, That's pretty much it. It's nothing too hard about it. And that's the thing too, just having fun with it, having fun with the idea, what is ethnic, what is American, I don't like necessarily kind of be preachy about it, but it's kind of in there in each of my kind of bits. So I think that's a good theme, but there was one particular story that kind of touches on it. And that's the setting that you'll hear. So it's
Oh, I can't wait.
It's me going to an art gallery and somebody in boat shoes, no socks, because for some reason rich people don't wear socks, comes up to me and we have an interesting conversation.
Yeah, rich people are disgusting. I mean,
it's so
fashion wise and hygienically, they're just fucking gross. I think it's a mark of it, to be honest.
It's look, we all have different resources. By the way, hey, if anybody here has boat shoes and they want to hire me for a corporate event, feel free. And also,
I can't work corporate events. Sorry, guys.
Exactly. And if you also want to, do a grassroots fundraiser, I love those too. I've emceed weddings. I've unfortunately emceed.
I should see that.
Yes, weddings, and I've also emceed, unfortunately, funerals. Believe it or not.
Wait, really?
Yeah, unfortunately, or actually, fortunately, sometimes the similar vibe. Believe it or not.
Wait, hold on.
Perfect.
You MC a funeral? Was it of someone you knew, or did somebody actually like hire you to MC?
No, it's someone it was my unfortunately uncle, one of my uncles, okay. and somebody actually through that kind of wanted me to do something else. Because some funerals, and I think some.
So the funeral got you other gigs?
Unfortunately, yes. Just, believe me, this wasn't something this is one of those things that people have found me. I don't believe, I'm not seeking this out. This is not something this is where comedy takes you on like weird places. I've done a burlesque shows where I was an MC. I did Ha-Ha's and Ta-Ta show, whatever. But it's on the wedding side, so much pressure. Think about it this way: when you have like those culture, like kind of like multicultural weddings, and you have these names, you have to get it right. You can't mess up. I was at a Greek Chinese wedding for the first time. Oh my God, oh my God, and you got to say it right.
Greek names are crazy.
Stephanotopoulos, and you got to hit it because, they pay you. So you
Sure.
can't mess up. And then of course you see the emotion. And then for the funeral, you have to come at the right level. You can't.
Yeah, so do you do jokes when you MC a funeral? Are you doing crowd work?
Dude, if you kill at a funeral, you got to put that on your resume. You're going to get hired everywhere.
So, because it's probably.
You just roast somebody for crying too hard or not hard enough? How does that?
Because some people have explicitly said, when I die, make it a fun event. So, but others, of course, more traditional. But you have to be you have to ask a lot of questions. When you host, you have to ask a lot of questions up front. But no matter what, you don't know 100% until you get there. That's the thing. No matter what, you'll never be enough. You'll never be prepared enough. You have to be able to go with whatever the vibe is. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm assuming it's probably pretty important that you know the cause of death.
Well, yes, and you because what you do is you just follow the agenda. You just follow the agenda, like this is so and so, Mr. or Mrs. so and so, and then he or she will speak, and then you just go ahead and you're like, okay, and then you have like the organ person, and then you're just literally walking through the steps, but you can't Steve Harvey it when it comes to messing up the name. You can't mess it up. By the way, I think he did that intentionally for marketing purposes, which makes him a genius. When he messed up that
Miss Nigeria or whatever, Miss World, Miss Universe.
He did that. I think he's a smart businessman, and that's why he has 8,000 jobs.
Wow, hot take on Steve Harvey.
That is my take.
You're here first.
I'm a bald dude. I'm into the bald guy conspiracies.
Okay.
I agree. They expect dumb shit from Steve Harvey's mouth all the time, and it just keeps him in the fucking stratosphere.
Do you want to see everything go perfectly? Who wants to see that? You want to see a flop.
No.
You think Miley Cyrus, right? Cyrus lost her top in New Year's on accident? Was it?
No.
Come
I think
on.
Janet and Justin plotted that shit too.
So
And the maid fucked Arnold.
I mean, the whole point is, so this is where this is manufactured, but getting back to the funeral stuff, that is hard. You have to hit the note at the right level. You can't come in hot, like, y'all ready for a funeral? You can't do that. You cannot do that. So you got to be like,
Who's drinking tonight? Are you?
actually, a lot of people, and you know what actually was a good reference. This is where comedy, reality happens. Remember what was it, Wedding Crashers? Remember the Will Ferrell character? Remember how like he was saying like, nah man, you know what the real place
Funerals,
is?
yeah.
Funerals? Yeah. Look, you know, I'm married, so it doesn't apply to me, but I totally get it. I totally get it. You're so emotionally charged and it's nuts. I have seen people hit on each other at funerals, and it happens in all age ranges, old people to like young people. So whatever you heard, it's been an experience. It's a wild
It'll
ride.
make you reevaluate your life, you know?
Actually, it does. And this is one of those things where with the pandemic and everything, you just like, whatever you choose to do, just make sure you enjoy it, because you never know, right? So that's why I really value my time. I really value the people I'm around, like you guys. So if it ain't there, don't worry about it. Just prioritize what makes you happy, what's good for you, what's good for your people that you love and care about. So I mean, I think that's the takeaway from my experience at both weddings and funerals, as well as the pandemic.
Yeah, it's a transition, so you got to fuck someone new, you know?
Well,
something like that.
Married guy, but so how's like your approach to comedy changed? Because you've been in comedy during, like you said, like very different phases of your life, right? Like you were like the single guy, like fresh out of a relationship, single dude, versus then engaged dude, then married dude, now
I got a kid.
Father. Yeah. Like you did the full, I don't know. I've only done like the second half of that in comedy. Like what's it been like the whole?
Oh my gosh. You know,
how's it changed?
Well, Petey could probably tell you that single Simone versus married Simone, probably a little different.
Oh yeah.
Really?
I was.
Like you say it, I can't imagine. I've just always known you as not single, so I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's probably better that way. Honestly, it's better for everybody. I don't want to be that guy right now. For me, again, everyone wears our phases differently.
Right.
People are really good single. I know a lot of I have single friends who are killing it, and I know married guys who are not so much. So for me as a single guy, I came at it like it's a party. I approach comedy as a party. It's a party with a side of comedy. And now when you have a relationship, or even like before being married with a kid, you have to say to your partner, I'm going to comedy. So it has to be very focused. Why are you going to comedy? For some sort of goal. And I have to be able to articulate. So then I have to articulate to myself, like, why am I going? What am I trying to do here? So then when you come up with that kind of like planning, which for me is important, because if I don't have like an idea of what I'm working towards, I'm too crazy. I have, my energy can be misplaced. So I need to focus it. So that's why I think the approach has changed. I'm more focused for sure. Just because we have so many more things to take care of. I have more responsibilities. Right. So there you go. I mean, that's just what it comes down. Whereas as single, all I had to care about was getting home. And I wasn't good at that necessarily. So, right. So you know, it's somebody has to be, I have to be accountable to somebody. You know, like you have a workout buddy, you gotta be, when you're accountable to somebody, you're better. You reach your goals.
Sure.
Faster.
Do you think you're a better comic for that approach?
Yeah, I think so. Because now I'm not as, believe me, I enjoy every phase of the comedy, even if it's bad, even if I bomb, so what? It's all learning, and you know, you just do it again and you get better. So I think but I think it was good to have the experience too of being single too. Let's see here. Let's see, how much can I tell you here? You know,
Ah,
I I got to at least understand what it means to have a good set and get a kind of attention that I wouldn't have gotten had I not gone up in front of people and said, oh, so basically, let's say if I did well in front of a room full of people, including women, sometimes you never know. I could
that is something that only happens to male comedians, I've noticed.
hashtag Pete Davidson.
With female comics, like
Yeah.
you could look bang and crush,
Yep.
but dudes are like, nah.
Intimidating.
It's like not, it doesn't, like the more the people, and if they do, it's like a creepier energy. And I won't get into like who does it, because there's a lot of creeping that goes on when you're a female comic, but not in this way where I see with the dudes, you know, with the dudes, there's like a line of girls who are like, oh my God, I totally respect your jokes. I think you're such a brilliant artist. Like that's not the vibe that we get.
I want to hear what Petey's thing is, but Elena, this is the theme I've heard many times, and I respect that. But Petey, what's your take on that? I'm curious.
Well, what specifically?
Well, like when you're out there and you do well, do you get a certain kind of attention that you don't see your comedians, your female counterparts experience? Because you know, we've been fortunate to have some good sets, and we get certain types of attention. And like Elena was saying, you know, she can get creepy, but you know, she doesn't get like, hey, I love that set. You wanna,
Never.
you know, whereas Petey, you tell me your experience.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know about the audience, what they say when they see like a female comic crush or whatever, other than like, that was great. But I do know that like amongst male comics, yeah, there's some creepsters, but then there's also like a lot of guys that are just really awkward and don't know how to talk to women, these other comics, you know? There's a lot of reasons they got into comedy that prevent them from even approaching somebody.
That's
like,
fair.
Well, see, I disagree with this point. My point is more like the audience doesn't do that. Not to make it weird, but like most of the creeping that happens when you're a female comic comes from male comics, not necessarily from audience members, or like the men of comedy. You know what I mean? Like most of it, obviously no one here, but like,
yeah, oh, pound for pound, I agree.
Yeah.
Like most of like the weird stuff that happens from people you work with, not so much from like audience members. Like what I see with male comics is like women in the audience, like creaming their jeans because they told a good joke. And like for women, if a dude like comes up to from the audience was like, you were so funny, he's usually like very drunk and like the energy is not good. It's like a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like less and less, and I think less and less dudes from the audience come up as I get funnier. I don't know if that
because you're already attractive, and then you're funny, and guys leverage funny to get dates.
Right.
So if you're both,
well, but you're groomed
like,
too. You're not like filthy, like a lot. Like there's some hot comics that are funny that just don't know how to dress, or their hair's a muck or whatever. Or they're talking all these like I'm a whore jokes, rah 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 rah. But you're like, oh, I just gave birth. I like a husband, all that. So
fair enough.
You know.
But I think that's a theme in general. Fair enough, that's true. But I think a theme in general is like women like male comics. That's what I've noticed being at comedy shows all the time. Like to Simone's point, like I could totally see that because I've seen girls like really groupie it up.
Yep. And it's there. Not for nothing. I actually met my wife at a comedy show. So
did you really?
Yeah.
Wait, how did that go down? Did she go up to you? Did you go up to her? How did that?
So I was hosting at a show at a club over a weekend, and you know, like you have your first show and then your second show. After the first show, they do like a meet and greet with the headliner, you know, just like you do the pictures. And I was like talking, and I think during my set, I'd called out the girls. I'd like, I was doing some crowd work and just, teasing the girl table. And then that girl table came up. Within that girl table was now my wife, isn't my wife. They were all like, "Oh, you did so great. Oh, you're funny." Just like you were saying. I don't know what's happening in the pants, of course, that is, very, we'll have to figure that out. I was talking to all of them. In this grand scheme of things, they were all attractive, and I was just being casual. And then one of them invited me to a party. It wasn't even my now wife, it was her friend. And then at that party, which I almost didn't go to, I started talking to my wife, Lindsay, and I was like, "Yeah, we had like a cool conversation." And the thing is, it was like a party, it was like a house party. So it wasn't like, it was chill. I was next to the chips.
Okay.
And, I was eating, and then I was talking to her, and it was very low pressure. It was very chill. And I think that's the environment that I thrive, because
Next to the chips.
if there are chips next to me.
Yeah. Look out.
No, but I was just relaxed and not putting on a show. And I think with actually putting on a show and not putting on a show, I think that was like interesting. And then we started hanging out, and then here we are. So it actually worked out on the positive side. But I've also I have experiences when I would be matched up on dating websites, and I would bring them to a comedy show. They didn't like my comedy, but they liked my non-comedy personality. And then I met someone at work, and I brought and they liked my comedy, but didn't like my work personality. So my wife was the only person that liked both my comedy and my offstage personality,
Right.
Because when you're performing, there's a heightened version of yourself.
Well, it's a character in a lot of
You're
ways.
kind of like, even if it's you're just turning up the volume a little bit.
Yeah.
But there were people who just weren't into the different sides of you.
Right.
So there was the side that Petey saw, me taking your chips at one phase, and Elena being, "Hey, Simone's kind of funny. We'll see what happens. He seems nice." That we all have different sides of us, and I think Lindsay was probably the only person that liked both.
Right. Well, good thing you married her.
Yeah.
Locked it down.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's all about connection, and you work at it, man. And now it's all about communication.
It's all about communication. It's all, especially after you have a kid, it's a lot of talks.
Oh my God.
Not arguments.
Well, look, I'll tell you, it's okay. We have arguments. We have
Arguments, yeah. I mean, they come with the territory, but
we're still working. It's just, God, I wish I knew the numbers offhand, but I read somewhere that the amount of words women use in a single day versus men, I think it's communication style and amount. I think this is, we'll go there one day, but we don't have time on this pod right now for that. That's a big topic that we just can't even, but we, in a pandemic, there's a lot to talk about, and we can't go anywhere. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Communication is key. And especially it takes a lot to, you have a family, you do comedy, it takes a very understanding partner.
That's true.
To be able to do that.
That's true. That's very true.
Dr. Hibbert. What you would call it though? How many years you been married? Because I feel like it's been 6 or something.
Damn, you're good, Petey. That's right. It's gonna be 6 in August.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. Man, that's really good.
Yeah, I remember meeting her thinking, wow, she's great. I hope he doesn't screw this one up.
That's true, because I've messed up others. I've messed up others for sure.
Yeah, your marriage is the time that I've lived here and started comedy.
Well, there you go.
2016, right?
Yep. We did it fortunately during the Obama last year. So that was we wanted to make sure we got, well, it wasn't because of that, but it worked out. And then of course, 45 came in office and changed a little bit. And then now we're in 46 and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got married during Trump, and somebody as a gift gave us, because I guess gave us like a puzzle as a wedding gift, and it's a puzzle of the New York Times front page on the date of your event. And the puzzle was just like some terrible Trump headline. Especially because we got married in March 2017, which is like, he was pretty new. So it was like every day.
Oh, yeah.
So we got this puzzle, and it's a cool, thoughtful idea, but like, we're not going to do this puzzle and frame it. Like, that's just sad.
Oh.
And like all the memorabilia from like that day, like March 25th, it's all angry Trump stuff, but we had a happy day anyway, and we got married in Mexico, and he wasn't the president there.
Okay, you totally went to the wrong country.
Yeah.
Wrong. Blonde woman got lost in Mexico. I can see the headlines. Yeah, and you know, and I definitely, that's one of the tracks that I cover is me accidentally hitting on Ivanka Trump back in the day. So not knowing it was her, this is pre, you know, I guess politics. I was there for like school in New York, and I was doing an internship in Midtown. Hit on some tall blonde lady, and there you go.
Okay, I mean, no matter how you feel about it, it's not like you didn't have taste. You know, she's cute.
Hey, yeah, you know, this is why the world is small, man. The world is small. You never know.
It's true.
You never know.
It's true. So what do you have coming up, Simone, that you want to tell the people about?
Sure. I'm hosting a show. I'm hosting a lot. Hosting at Tally Ho Theater on the February 4th. I got some corporate gigs. In terms of like, kind of like clubs, I think I'm doing a lot of corporate. So just follow me at Simone_comedy on IG, on Twitter. My website is leftistpanda.com for my comedy website, but definitely check me out on the streaming platforms. Delightfully Ethnic. By the way, this is my seatbelts. This is my motion there. But yeah, find me on the streaming services, Simone Comedy, Delightfully Ethnic. You will be delighted, hopefully, have some fun. And yeah, if you want to book me for a special occasion of any type.
Any kind, you guys.
Any kind.
Any kind.
Yeah, it seems like it. So you let me know. Happy to help.
Clean, domestic, ethnic, dead.
Yeah, Simone works clean, so we won't do any dirty jokes at your funeral.
Yeah. I mean, I've been invited to do a roast too, so I can go there if we need to. But you tell me, we'll figure it out.
Fantastic.
Well, we want to thank Simone for coming on. Petey, anything you want to promote?
I got nothing except our show tomorrow, which will be long done by the time. It includes Simone.
That's right. I was going to say, I'm on that show.
Yeah.
And shout out to Joey Duffield, TJ Ferguson, and Denise Taylor. I'm sure they're going to
Yeah,
kill
we have a
them.
hot lineup. It's going to be a hot show. We're super excited. If you guys want to see me, I'm going to unapologetically plug, which makes me really likable. But I'll be at the Grizzly Pear in New York the whole weekend of February 5th and 6th. I'll be doing a bunch of shows there. And that's like the only thing that's coming up really close to this episode. But we want to thank you guys for coming on. Thank you again to Simone. And, you know, check out arlingtondrafthouse.com to see more dates for our show, for other shows with great headliners, and that's it. Right?
Yeah, guys.
Very good.
A pleasure.
Bye,
See you soon.
All right.
Take
Peace
care.
out.